One of the biggest and most consistent criticisms facing modern movies is that there aren't enough great original ideas. While it's very true that studios are more interested in promoting remakes, sequels, and films based on popular and existing IPs, that sentiment is a disservice to the great original movies we've recently come across. Some of these films have ended up as blockbusters despite not being based on anything, defying the odds. Others have become well-known after receiving widespread critical acclaim and winning numerous accolades. The one thing they all share is that they're phenomenal films based on original ideas, which we need more of in today's landscape. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019. Quentin Tarantino has cemented himself as one of the top filmmakers of the past few decades, and his most recent movie has an argument for being his best. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sees Tarantino team up with an incredible cast led by Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie. The film centers on a fading actor, DiCaprio, and his friend stunt double, Pitt, as they navigate Hollywood in 1969, with a key subplot surrounding the impending Sharon Tate, Robbie, murders. However, Tarantino spins the true Tate story on its head to make something completely original. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a huge hit with critics, ranking as the top film of 2019 by the likes of IndieWire and the Associated Press. The movie was nominated for 10 Oscars, winning for Best Production Design and Best Supporting Actor, Pitt. It also won Best Picture, Musical or Comedy and Best Director at the Golden Globes. On top of those merits, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is also incredible due to how it marked a look at the future of the industry. The ensemble features small roles by breakout stars Mikey Madison, Margaret Qualley, Austin Butler, and Maya Hawke, just to name a few. Weapons, 2025, Warner Brothers, courtesy Everett Collection. If there's one genre where original ideas seem to happen all the time, it's horror, though many fly under the radar. So when an original horror movie becomes a global hit, the world tends to take notice, which is just what happened with Weapons. Directed by Zach Cregger, whose debut feature from 2022, Barbarian, is also a tremendous original story, Weapons ended up grossing over $250 million and becoming one of the most talked about movies in recent memory, regardless of genre. The film tells the story of a small town where 17 kids from one class mysteriously run away and vanish one night. The premise alone is enough to get people hooked, as you spend the entire runtime watching the story unfold through various points of view. It makes for a gripping tale that is boosted by the strong performances of Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, and the rest of the cast. Weapons is the kind of film where you don't know what's coming next, and that's what captivates you. It was met with widespread acclaim, holds a 94% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and there's already talk of a sequel and prequel, meaning Weapons could become a franchise. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, 2019. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is a special movie in almost every way. The film has been called by many one of the best releases of the century. It tells one of the most touching LGBTQ+ romances ever put to screen, and it features some powerhouse performances at its center. Written and directed by Céline Sciamma, Portrait of a Lady on Fire is set in France during the late 18th century and centers on an aristocrat and the painter who is commissioned to paint her portrait. The two women ultimately fall for one another in this whirlwind tale. Noémie Merlant and Adèle Haenel, in her final role before retiring from the film industry, deliver incredible performances as the two women at the heart of the story. Both were up for various awards, as was Sciamma. The movie won the Palme d'Or and the Queer Palm at the Cannes Film Festival. The affair between the two women in Portrait of a Lady on Fire is romantic, emotional, and steamy. Their chemistry goes a long way in helping to make this one of the most important movies in the history of queer cinema. After Sun, 2022. Probably the least famous of these original movies, After Sun deserves to be more well-known throughout the world. The film is a heart-wrenching experience that gets more emotional and devastating as it progresses before culminating in a masterful climax. After Sun tells the tale of a father and daughter who go on vacation together to a Turkish resort ahead of his birthday. Though their bond is sincere and sweet, the film reveals that the dad is dealing with depression, which leads to some heartbreaking sequences. Paul Mescal is fantastic as Callum, earning an Academy Award nomination for his performance. Meanwhile, Frankie Corio makes her film debut as his daughter Sophie and turns in tremendous work as well, earning some notable nominations as well. After Sun sits at 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, and while everything from the screenplay to the acting to the cinematography was praised, it's the ending that hits the hardest. The film uses Queen's Under Pressure to perfection as it plays over a powerful scene involving Callum and Sophie. Knives Out, 2019. For a long time, people have understood how good a filmmaker Rian Johnson is. Whether it was Brick, Looper, or episodes of shows like Breaking Bad, Johnson has always showcased his skills, But his name was sullied after Star Wars fans were upset with his work on The Last Jedi, though critics liked that movie. Rian Johnson moved away from Star Wars and back to original filmmaking with Knives Out and reminded everyone of his talent. Knives Out is a throwback to mystery movies of the past, featuring an impressive ensemble and a detective who is immensely charismatic. Daniel Craig played Benoit Blanc, a flamboyant detective with a memorable southern accent, and he's already made the character one of the best in mystery movie history. Knives Out centers on his investigation into the death of a wealthy patriarch, with his eccentric family as major suspects. Knives Out received an Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay and features standout performances from Craig, Ana de Armas, Chris Evans, and so many other great actors. It was successful enough to start a franchise, with a well-received 2022 sequel and a third entry set for 2025. Get Out, 2017. Along the same lines as Weapons, Get Out is a horror movie that became a major talking point throughout the world when it was released. The film marked the directorial debut of Jordan Peele, who was most known for his comedic efforts until he wrote and directed this film. Get Out tells the story of Chris, a black man who visits his white girlfriend's parents' house for the first time, only to discover that they have been doing heinous things to black people for decades. The film was praised for its social commentary, acting, direction, and how it built up the tense atmosphere. Daniel Kaluuya became a major star thanks to his lead work here, while Allison Williams is as good a villain as you'll find. Peele even pulled off a rare feat by winning Best Original Screenplay for Get Out, an award that isn't often given to horror projects. Get Out was also nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor, which are also not categories you often find horror films included in. The movie grossed more than $250 million and made the people involved, including Peele, into Hollywood personas we all need to pay attention to.